What's going on? Welcome back to another tutorial video. This is a full-on tutorial video on how I paint my scale model car bodies. A lot of you have been asking me on how to do this, and can I do a full-on video on doing this. So here we are, and today we're painting a Toyota Crown from Airbrush. It don't matter what kind of body you're painting, it's basically the same exact procedure and process on every single body that I paint. So before you start painting, of course, you prime the body. I did a full-on video on how to prep your scale model car body. I'll leave a link to that in the description if you want to know how to get your body ready for paint and primer and clear. So after that step, we're on to primer. Of course, prime the body. I skipped that stage because that's kind of boring. No one wants to see primer laying down. So after primer got set and dry, we'll let that sit for about an hour or two, just about 2 hours, and then we're officially blowing it off for color. So right now what I'm doing is I'm using an airbrush, of course, and you want to get rid of any kind of dust that's on a body. So for me, I kind of scuffed up the primer a little bit, so there's some dust on there, so get any kind of dust out of the primer and out of the body so it doesn't get stuck into your paint job. Okay, now since the body is all blown off, we're ready for paint. So I always spray a little test shot on my glove, make sure the paint is coming out nicely, make sure my airbrush is not spitting out, and since it is, we're good to go. So right now what we're doing is we're doing a hard to reach area spots first. This is basically spots that you're going to easily forget, and they're kind of hard to reach as well. Just get them over with and you're ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and do this first, and then we'll move on to the very first coat on the body. This is your very first coat, so that means keep the coats super light. Don't go heavy. You should still be able to see the primer through your first coat. Don't want to put on heavy because, for one, some paints out there, they can wrinkle on you, which is not what you want. And two, you don't want it to run. And three, the paint can actually peel up on your body. For some reason, if you do clear coat, it can peel up, and if you put down too much, it can react to some weird stuff. So very first coat, very, very light. So the airbrush that I'm using is a Mr. Hobby airbrush. It's actually an Iwata airbrush. It's just Mr. Hobby teamed up with Iwata to create this airbrush. I'll leave a link to it in the description. So this is Badger airbrush trigger throw action is called, and it's a very nice airbrush. It has your trigger throw. The handle is separate. Again, I'll provide the handle in the description as well. It's an Iwata handle, but it fits this airbrush like no problem, because again, the airbrush isn't Iwata, but just rebrand as Mr. Hobby. So the airbrush that I'm using, the needle size I'm at, is a 0.5 millimeter, which you might seem that's quite big, but the tip on it has two different tips. So the tip that I'm using on bodies, it has like two holes at the end. It basically sprays the paint as like a V shape. That's why the paint throw is very, very wide, as you can see right here. It's super wide because it has air holes outside of the paint, outside of the airbrush, and it's blowing the paint in like a sort of like X formation, and that's why it's very wide spray, and that works really good with bodies because it does a nice even coat on the bodies, and also it covers very, very fast. Okay, so about 5 to 10 minutes later, let the body dry for about 5 to 10 minutes, and you should be good to go for your next coat. Again, harsh ridge areas first, easy to forget spots, and then you move on to your whole body. So to know when your body is ready for your next coat, if you're not sure between 5 to 10 minutes, your body should have the color that's on the body. It should have like a eggshell look to it. So like an eggshell, like a normal egg you have for breakfast, it should look like the shell. If it's not, of course, let it dry for a bit longer, and make sure it has that eggshell look to it. If it has that eggshell look to it, then of course it's ready for its next coat. And since it's your second coat, you can make this coat a little bit more heavier than your first. Your first one, again, was your first exact coat, and that one's just your prep coat. This one's basically your first special coat, and this way you can make it a little bit more thicker. Again, not too thick, because the paint, it can still wrinkle or run or all kinds of funny stuff. Make sure you're putting it on pretty light, but you know, a little more thicker than your first one, but not too heavy. And we're on our third and final coat. Again, we'll test shot on your glove, make sure it's spraying okay, and we're good to go. Again, I already did harsh ridge areas first off camera, because you know it's kind of boring. And it's your third and final coat. Usually most colors cover in the third coat. If not, you can go do, you know, your fourth, fifth, sixth coat you have to. That's if color is super light. There's certain colors out there that does take more, so make sure you take it cautious, go slow, and take it easy, and don't go heavy. And again, third and final coat, this is for me, and this could be your heaviest coat of them all. Again, not too heavy, because it can still create wrinkles. Try to avoid that, but again, it can be more heavier. It can be basically the same heaviness as your second coat. Now, there are some questions out there on temperature. What is the correct temperature on to spray a body? Now, if you're using spray cans and airbrush, it doesn't matter. You do want to spray within a good temperature. For basically spray cans, for the spray can guys, you can comfortably spray a car body within 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. I do not recommend anything lower than that, because if you spray it outside and your temperature is below, say, 40 or 30 degrees, your paint is going to react to that, and it's not going to like it, and yeah, it's gonna wrinkle up, and it can do some funny stuff. So make sure you're spraying in the correct temperature. For your airbrush guys, if you're using splash paints or any kind of automotive paint company out there that has automotive paints such as splash paints, zero paints, gravity colors, anything like that, make sure you're spraying within like 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the correct temperature for this. And if you're spraying anything lower than that, if you're spraying any kind of automotive paint for your airbrush lower than, I would say, 50 degrees, then again that paint can wrinkle up. So spray cans is a little more forgiving. You can spray a little bit lower temperature in spray cans, but for your airbrush, guys, you might want to spray within that 70 degree temperature. So right now I'm just checking the body, make sure I got it all covered, and it looks pretty good. If you've missed a spot, go ahead and touch it up right now. Okay, so now about 1 to 2 hours later, we're ready for clear coat. For me, I let this body dry for overnight. Again, it's totally up to preference. We usually 1 to 2 hours, you're good to go. But for me, I let it dry for overnight. Now we're ready for 2K Clear. So I'm using 2K Clear. The clear that I'm using is from Finish 1. And right now what I'm doing is I'm putting on a little tack coat on the decals. I did a full tutorial video on how to clear coat over decals, such as bigger ones. But since these are smaller ones, these are fine. Just put on a small little tack coat on them, and they'll be fine. That little tack coat, it just keeps them, gets them used to the clear coat, and keeps them. If you have older decals, it keeps them from flying off through the airbrush or through your spray can or whatever, and it just secures them. And again, from your first coat on your color coat, you're doing the hard to reach areas first, easy to forget spots, again, for clear coat, because again, you can always forget them. And since this is 2K Clear or any kind of clear you're using, spray can or whatever, again, make sure your first coat is super light, don't go heavy. Okay, about 5 to 10 minutes later, you're good to go for your second coat. There's really no telling between on how to tell when you're ready to go. Just give it 5 to 10 minutes, you're good to go, and you should be fine. So this next coat can be a little heavier. This is not like your color coat where color can wrinkle up. Clear coat can't really wrinkle up on you unless you're spraying out in a really cold area. but for me, you can make this pretty heavy. So if you're using 2K clear like I am, and if you have thinner such as reducer, you can put an extra reducer into your clear coat mix, so it flows out of the airbrush much nicer, and it gets rid of all kinds of orange peel that's on your body, and it just creates a much more smoother finish. Five to 10 minutes later, we're good to go, and we're on our third and final coat. Usually, most cases, the third coat is more than enough. Actually, most cases, the second coat is actually good enough, but in some cases, third coat is most likely, and you most might need to do so. Just get some that extra orange peel. This color had some orange peel. Blue is most of the most common colors out there to get orange peel. Is not really sure why. I know blue, yellow, red are the most common ones to get orange peel, so don't worry about that. If you do have orange peel, not a big deal. Put in some extra thinner in your 2K clear if you're using 2K clear, and that will get rid of any kind of orange peel hopefully, and it will just smooth out the whole body whatsoever, and it will just create a much smoother finish. And after this coat, the color and the clear actually turned out absolutely amazing. There was no orange peel whatsoever, and it turned out amazing. And yeah, so I'll come back before the video ends, and we'll show you the result. And right now what I'm doing, I'm just checking the overall whole body, and right now what I'm doing, I'm just doing a mist tack coat. So I'm hardly spraying any paint. This is not really much of a coat. It's just, I'm just basically just waxing the coat on the body. So it's not a full coverage, it's just like a mist coat, you want to call it. Just gets rid of any excess orange peel that could be on the body. You just never know. And you know, just overlook the whole body, and just make sure you didn't miss a spot. If you did, you can always touch it up right at this moment in time, but overall this is a time and moment to check the body and make sure you didn't miss anything.
You know I'm too generous.
And there's our finished body, and as you can see, it looks absolutely incredible. This blue looks amazing. I'm really happy how this turned out. And there we go, there we have it, guys. There's my full tutorial video on how to paint a model car body. It's not really that complicated. Just make sure you're spraying in a well good ventilated area, good temperature, and make sure you're not putting your coats on too heavy without, you gotta try to avoid those wrinkles. And there's some people out there who do get wrinkles, and that could be one of their downsides. Don't put it on too heavy, and again, make sure your temperature is right. If you get those correct, and you should be good to go. But alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Any questions, go ahead and leave it in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But until next video, I'll catch you next time. Thank you guys so much, and yeah, take it easy.